Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Dogecoin. We're going to talk about the higher time frames, and we're going to talk about where I think Dogecoin can head going into Q4. So if you haven't already, sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, grab some popcorn, and let's jump right into it. So, what you can see here is the monthly time frame on Dogecoin, right? And what you're also going to see is two free, very simple, but very powerful indicators, that being the stock RSI and the regular RSI. What you're also going to see is that on the chart, I have multiple price action events from the past and not too long ago marked off, that stretching all the way back to 2016, all the way up until now. Okay, now what I want to point out to you first is we're going to show the correlation between the stock RSI and monthly time frame price action on Dogecoin. So, first and foremost, back in 2015 in November, Dogecoin got a stock RSI cross to the upside on the monthly time frame above the 20 level. It then proceeded to have a very big move to the upside. However, this was still during a slightly bearish phase in the market, but nonetheless, Dogecoin pulled a 265, 270% move to the upside. Moving on to February of 2017, Dogecoin gets a V-shaped stock RSI cross above the 20 level, and it goes on another rally. This was the first rally of the bull run for Dogecoin. It had two rallies during this bull market and had one very major correction. That rally was 1,852%. Then we came down, we had a massive correction. Dogecoin then gets another monthly stock RSI cross to the upside above the 20 level and goes on its final rally of the cycle, producing a very nice 1,751% gain, and then eventually topping out and going into a bear market. So these are bull market crosses all throughout the 2015, 2016, 2017 cycle. Then you go into your bear market, right? In your bear market, Dogecoin is below the 20 level and it consolidates. As you can see, you have these attempted crosses above the 20 level during the bear market. However, you're not able to get fully above. You get rejected. You head back down lower and continue to consolidate. We also got a very big run up here, and this was back in the 2019 when Bitcoin also made a really big bear market rally. Basically went parabolic, and if you all remember that, I won't go to the chart. Actually, no, we could zip over. This was during this rally for Bitcoin right here back in 2019. This was basically after the bottom of the bear market, and it was just this very, very strong parabolic rally to the upside. Similar to that, Dogecoin had a very, very big rally to the upside. However, the stock RSI never really crossed to the never really got a durable cross to the upside, and ended up failing and then coming back down again after slightly getting back above the 20 level. This was mainly driven by Bitcoin dominance going higher, and the market was it was still in a bear market, right? We were still in that in between cycles, in between bull cycles. So then you come back down, and then look what happens. You get your stock RSI cross. You're above the 20 level. You're ending the bear market. It took a little while, right? It took 1, 2, 3. I mean, you could technically count this rally here as a major rally, but then we had a 3-month correction, right? But nonetheless, orange circle, stock RSI cross, Dogecoin goes on its major bull market rally, which was the biggest rally Dogecoin has ever been on. Now, things are going to get really interesting here. We're going to jump to the here and now, because this cycle has been a different beast, and it has produced easier, believe it or not, price action to predict. For example, you get your bear market cross, right? Classic. We've had 2 of those in the past. Bear market cross doesn't turn into anything. Then we go through our major correction, and then look, boom, you get your bull market cross, right? Once we received that bull market cross, Dogecoin went on its first major rally of the cycle. Okay, that rally was very good if you were here for it. It was 280% roughly. Then we go through our first major correction. Stock RSI comes down, crosses above the 20 level. You get your November-December rally. I'm sure most of you were around for that. That was also very nice. It was 497% roughly. Now we've come down again. We continue to hold the higher low structure, and we are getting a monthly stock RSI cross again. However, we have not yet crossed the 20 level. So this is the very beginning stages of a potential rally for Dogecoin. As we know, based off the past, when you get stock RSI crosses during a bull market, they produce massive rallies to the upside. Okay, that's the basic point here that we're making. Where do we go from there? Well, I have price targets. We talk about price targets in the Patreon all the time. We're not going to talk about that here today on the video. We're just going to talk about our thesis here. Monthly stock RSI cross hasn't even crossed the 20 level yet. However, we are holding this higher low structure. So theoretically, once we get that stock RSI above the 20 level, we are going to start a very ferocious potential uptrend to the upside. Now, let me just say this. When it comes to the altcoin market cap, including Dogecoin, and even Bitcoin, and even ETH, this is a very macro-driven market. We know that by now. We've known that for years, and we've been preaching that for years. I think everyone is starting to understand that now. So as long as monetary policy projections are in place, which they are currently, we're going to get cuts this month, within a week from now. It looks like we're getting cuts in November and December. That's what's getting priced into the market currently. Okay, as long as inflation stays relatively tamed and the labor market continues to soften, not crater, just soften, that is a picture-perfect scenario for monetary policy easing to be well anchored, and for Dogecoin and altcoins to get durable outperformance over Bitcoin, right? We're getting little hints of that now. You're seeing that with ETH via ETH season, something else that we called back in May of this year. So back to the point that we're making here is monthly stock RSI cross to the upside during a bull market, holding the monthly uptrend to the upside, and then last but not least, 3 times this cycle, Dogecoin on the monthly time frame, right, has crossed the RSI to the upside over its MA, and at the same time, it has continued to hold this trend line. Every single time that Dogecoin has crossed the MA on the RSI has coincided with a stock RSI cross to the upside. You are just now seeing the exact same thing happen. It's incredible, isn't it? Look at this. Monthly stock RSI cross. RSI crosses the MA, major rally. Come down, correction. Hold the trend line. Monthly RSI crosses the MA again, stock RSI cross, major rally. We come down, we deviate below the trend line. Now we're breaking back above the trend line and the MA at the same time after holding the 50 level, mind you, right? Perfectly bounced off the 50 level with a double bottom, deviated back above the trend line, and now crossing the MA again. We still have a full month, more than half a month to go, so this is not guaranteed. We got to wait till the end of the month. But you're also getting that stock RSI cross. What comes next? If we're going off history, right? If we're going off history in terms of these easy, simple technicals to put together, and the macro still remains favorable to us like we just spoke about, right? All of those ingredients match the recipe. Dogecoin's set up for a rally to the upside going into Q4. All right? So what do we need to happen? We need a favorable macro, which we currently have, right? Based off all the things that I told you, the ingredients that go along with that. And that's basically it. If we can get that favorable macro going into Q4, monetary policy projections are well anchored. These charts are telling us right in our faces that Dogecoin is preparing for a bigger move higher. Okay? We are talking about a combination of indicators and technicals that have never failed before, right? We just went over it. So very, very exciting to see. I think overall, this is an amazing structure for Dogecoin, right? We continue to go through rallies, corrections, and you're making higher lows on your indicators. You're making higher lows on price action. You're making higher highs in price action. And I think we're preparing for the last big rally of the cycle, unless something else changes, right? But we're not at that point yet. So let's just monitor the here and now. And that's basically it. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I think this chart is incredible. It just has absolute facts driven into it, and it's easy to track, and it's something that I've been looking at for a long time now. And the reason why I want to talk about it more is because you're starting to see that these indicators are starting to kind of move upwards, right? We're starting to see that momentum build back up. And I also wanted to wait until our inflation reports came in so that we can monitor that also. Um, Obviously, the labor market is starting to soften. The inflation is holding steady, but it's ticking up a little bit, ticking down a little bit. It's basically ranging in the same range it's been in for a year now, right? If you looked back at last year, we're basically in the same range. So when you have a ranging inflation and you have a weakening labor market, the Fed's priorities are going to shift over to the labor market. And that's why you're seeing the Fed Watch tool showing rate cut projections are skyrocketing. And this is a very good thing if you want Bitcoin dominance to inevitably drop and you want altcoins to have an alt season. All right. Now, with all of that being said, remember something. We're still in September. September is seasonally weak, which is why you're seeing pretty much relatively weak price action. We have the FOMC in a week, right? Don't expect much to happen in that time. Could we get some choppy moves on Bitcoin, maybe some choppy moves on altcoins? Sure. But overall, I think the market's really going to kind of sit back and wait for the tone of Powell in the FOMC. And then after that, I think the market's really going to get moving. And one more time, I'll say this. If Powell's tone is dovish and the outlook looks dovish, right? Meaning monetary policy easing and Powell's not angry, he's happy, right? He wants to be dovish. Then I think we have the perfect recipe for an alt season to occur. And I think we have a perfect recipe for this Dogecoin chart to play out. All right. Now, if it went the other way and the macro started to deteriorate, inflation kept going up, the Fed was not dovish, they were hawkish, the Fed watch projections went down, that can cause some major hiccups in this chart. Okay. So we have to watch that stuff closely. Don't just be someone who stares at charts all day. Focus on the macro. Educate yourself about the macroeconomic situation. Remember something. Crypto doesn't have earnings. It doesn't have many other factors like the stock market does that can drive it higher, like an AI narrative or CapEx spending, right? Or just earnings, right? Monetary policy, the macro, that's the earnings report for the crypto market, okay? So you need to be focusing on that and correlate that with your expert technical analysis on higher time frames, and that way you can buy low, sell high, and go from there. If you guys are looking for a community or looking for a place to go where you can learn this, I post about this stuff every single day, all day, via videos, via posts, via Discord, in our Patreon. The link is in the description below. If you have any interest in joining a community like that, click on the link. All right, I hope this video was interesting for you. I hope it gave you some good ideas as to how this market can potentially work going into the later part of the year. Obviously, we need other things to pan out for us, but from just purely a chart perspective, the setup is there, guys. The pathway is laid. It's currently playing out as we speak. And, remember one last thing. Look at these stock RSIs, right? You don't even get your most bullish price action until the stock RSIs are above the 80 level. So we're in the early innings of this potential move. Very early innings. This is literally the first inning. First or second inning, right? So again, as long as everything plays out the way that I just spoke about in terms of macro, these charts are going to correlate to that. Maybe the charts are preceding it, right? Maybe the charts are telling us something. Sometimes they do that. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, like and subscribe. And again, check the link in the description below if you are looking for a community to join. With that being said, I hope you all have a great weekend. Touch some grass, right? We got FOMC coming up in about 5 to 6 days here. And from there, I think things are going to start to get really interesting. And no sleep season could be upon us, but we just have to stay patient, stay vigilant, and, don't get overly excited. Stay a little bit pessimistic, track everything properly, and we'll maneuver this thing the right way. So you guys have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.